That's for real. They took over them 6 apartments down there. They getting ready to vacate it.
These ones right here?
Yeah, they had a meeting. Yeah, it's for real.
I'm trying to talk to locals to see, because a lot of people are saying it's fake, like nothing's happening here and stuff.
Definitely fake.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not, it can't be just Venezuelan gangs, right?
Yeah, crime has gone up with the Venezuelans coming here.
Oh, so it actually is, crime is getting worse, you think?
Yeah, like ever since I came here, it's been more worse.
There is gunshots. We moved in here in like June, so we hear them. But they usually start like super late, like 1, 4 o'clock in the morning. Damn. This one was like around 11, so that was weird.
Alright guys, welcome back to another Kamryn Walks video. Today we are headed to Aurora, Colorado in light of the news that we've been hearing coming from that way. I've been hearing about it for the past like week or so.
These videos of alleged gang members storming into apartments, you've seen the video. He told us these are isolated incidents in pockets of Aurora.
Venezuelan gang activity in Aurora. This week, Aurora has been in the national spotlight as videos have been circulating on social media showing gang members taking over apartments.
I heard about the apartments and them having to get everyone out of the apartment complex about 2 or 3 weeks ago because they had 1 week to evacuate their apartments because the city shut it down for code violations.
Last week, the city gave the 50 families a notice to vacate, saying they're condemning the building, citing poor conditions and code violations, including rat infestations, trash, and a lack of heat and electricity.
Well, that was the last thing I really heard about that until this past like 2 or 3 days whenever mainstream media has picked up on it with the Aurora Colorado apartments being taken over by Venezuelan gangs, so to speak. So I figured I'd go see for myself like what's happening over there, talk to locals, let other people know, put this out because I think this type of stuff needs to be put out there. But yeah, we're gonna go see if there's really Venezuelan gangs running through the streets in Aurora, Colorado. I'm gonna have no one else with me because I'm not letting Mia go, so it's gonna be interesting to say the least. I'm gonna try to speak with locals. Maybe I can try to speak with the gang members. I'm just kidding. But yeah, let's see if this is real. We're about 19 minutes away from there. We drove out of Denver yesterday, or day before yesterday, and now we're going back that way just because of this. This is a big story for my channel, for the world right now, and I think it's just something that needs to be documented, really. Alright guys, we are right outside of the apartments complex right here. It is gated off and closed, as you can see. The city marked it off. No Venezuelan street gangs as of right now on the streets. See a couple locals here and there. I'm really gonna walk by and talk to these people on the street here and just check it out. It doesn't seem crime infested. It just seems like the hood over here. Like normal. I'm gonna go park over here in this Panda Express and then I'm gonna walk over here. Alright, I'm on the street here, right in front of the supposed gang taking over area. Yo, what's up, man? You want a bag of chips? I really don't have any cash. I use Apple Pay on my phone. I'm sorry, brother. Have a good one. Alright, this is the Panda Express right across the street. Alright, I'm walking over right in front of the apartment buildings right now. I don't, but I have some chips if you want some chips. Huh? Some chips? Oh shit, hold on. Oh, this bag just broke open. Here. If you want this one, it just broke open. I don't eat Cheetos. You want this one too? No, problem. How you doing? Yo, sorry, quick question. About that stuff going on over there. Is that like, is the gangs really out here like that?
I guess, I don't know.
You haven't really dealt with it yourself? No? You? Have you dealt with anything? No English? That's all good. Have a good day. All right, there seems to be like people hanging out in pockets over here. Alright, there was a guy there with scissors that were like broken off and he was just holding them. So that makes me feel sketched out. these are the apartments. Nothing really happening yet. Oh, I was zoomed in. Alright, so these are the apartments. I'm gonna go try to talk to some locals. How you doing?
Good, you?
Good. Yo, I'm trying to ask locals and stuff about the whole thing going on over there. Do you know anything about it? No? Okay, it's all good. Alright guys, so I'm walking around in the Aurora hood over here. And yeah, it's sketchy or whatever, but I haven't seen anything that's like intense gang activity type shit. But let me see if I can talk to some people and whatnot. Alright guys, I just spoke with a police officer who was hanging out around in an apartment complex parking lot, and I just asked him about, he said no interviews, they're advised no public interviews right now, and so I respected that. And but yeah, no, he said that it's kind of normal around here until about 11 o'clock at night is when things get tricky. So I could stay till 11. It's about 5 right now, 6. I don't know if I want to do that, but we'll see. I'm gonna go back through the hood. I'm not gonna go on the main street yet. How you doing? You from around? Do you live here? No. No? Just visiting? It's okay. I was trying to ask locals about, you know, the news, everything going on in those apartments over there. Yeah, those apartment complexes over there. Yeah, they got shut down and whatnot, you know. And so apparently there's like gangs and stuff. Apparently, that's what's being spread on the news all across, you know. Appreciate you for talking to me. What's your name? I'm Kamryn. Nice to meet you. Hi. Hey. You from here? You live here? Little English? English? No, it's okay. Y'all have a good day. Hi. That's the apartments that the cop was in. That's Park 16 apartments. I don't know if that's another one. I have to look it up. I know there's 2 or 3. Park 16 is where that cop was that I talked to, and now he's gone. I have to look it up. This is a super sketchy area though, I ain't even gonna lie. Like, this is worse than Arlington or Fort Worth, really. If you notice, I've walked by so many cars that have unmarked license, like no license plate. Y'all live here? Is that like as bad as it's talked about on the news and stuff?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of shit that goes on over here.
A lot of guns and shit. Okay, do you mind if I record? I can keep the thing on the ground. I'm just trying to talk to locals to see, because a lot of people are saying it's fake, like nothing's happening here and stuff.
Definitely shit going on.
Really?
Yeah, cops like roll through there all
Daily? Is the guns like prevalent? Like hurt a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel safe still in the area, or?
Yeah, they don't really mess with us.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's more
it's pretty
isolated.
contained, yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Like, it doesn't really come over here.
Has it been? How long have y'all lived here? A while?
yeah, I feel like
Moved in
4 years.
4 years.
2019.
Is this a more recent thing that's happening?
No.
No.
No, it's been going on for a long time.
It hasn't really. I haven't felt like desperately unsafe. I feel like I'm in an unsafe area for sure. But yeah, no, I don't feel unsafe, so to speak. Bless you. All right, guys, I just left the first apartment complexes on Nome Street here in Aurora, and as y'all saw in the footage, I wasn't really able to talk to anyone. There was 2 or 3 people that I talked to real quick. They hadn't heard of anything, so I couldn't really use that, but I guess that is something to use and say that 3 local residents hadn't even heard about the situation. I talked to a police officer, and yeah, he said that he couldn't really talk much, but he said that nothing really happens until about 11 o'clock at night. Said my best bet was to go around and knocking on doors, but most of the community in that area was not speaking English. I tried to talk to several people, and yeah, they didn't speak English, so I couldn't do anything with that. I talked with one black dude, and he was like, I asked him, hey, have you heard about the gangs, the whole gang situation happening around here or whatever? And he said, I don't really care about it. He said, they're not fucking with us blacks. And then he said, but if they do, then they know what time it is. So I guess he's saying that if the Venezuelans start fucking with the black people around here, then the black people are gonna start fighting back. But again, that's just one dude, so I don't even know. He wasn't real direct on like it even being Venezuelans or anything like that. He didn't know too much, I don't think. So I'm going over to this other apartment complex, which is where the footage of the Venezuelan gang going through door to door to door is taken at. And yeah, I guess we're gonna see what it's like over there. I'm gonna go walk around, ask some locals what it's like, and see what it's like going on over there. We're about 4 minutes from that location. Each apartment building is about 7 minutes apart, so they're not like right next to each other, which is something I found weird, honestly, because you figure if Venezuelans are starting to come over and take over apartment complexes, there's plenty of apartment complexes on that block that they could have done it with and have their own little community and spread outward. But seems like, according to what's happening in the news, is this one's taken over here, and then 7 minutes down the road this one's taken, which is just kind of weird to me. But we'll see. Yeah, let's see what happens. Alright guys, these are the apartments right here. These ones don't have gates. Really? Of the window? What the fuck's happening? Oh hell no.
Go. What's happening?
They're like tatted up to the brim. Everything in the middle of the street.
Yeah, what are they just doing?
They're just dapping up that person. I think they knew him.
Yeah, but that's pretty scary. I don't think you should go around this part. This seems like the really bad part. Honestly. It's like way more like tucked away from like the main road, and like there's like a lot of people out.
One street over from these apartments, I'm about to turn and then go on that street. Mia does not want me on that street. She's a little bit more scared about this area than the last, which, I mean, it makes sense. There's people out here, it looks like, it's like running shit. See, no license plate. I really need to learn Spanish. Something I want to do for reporting and stuff like that. How you doing?
Hey, all right.
Hey, I got a question. Have you heard about like the whole Venezuelan gang stuff going on?
Yeah, man.
Is it real?
That's for real. They took over them 6 apartments down there. They getting ready to vacate it.
These ones right here?
Yeah, they had a meeting. Yeah, it's for real.
Are you down to talk for a second?
No, I mean,
I won't take too much of your time.
Well, this is what I heard. I'm gonna tell you what I heard.
Okay.
I heard that they done hijacked the buildings. I don't want to be on camera.
Okay, okay. I'll keep your head out of the frame.
Because I'm coming back and forth.
Oh, 100%.
Here,
yeah, I got you.
And now, that's the guy we seen.
Yeah.
You know, I hang in the park.
Here, you want some peanuts, by the way?
Yeah, this is what I heard now. Now, I'm just, you know, I heard, now, there's people paying, and then there's people that just broke in and taking over apartments.
Yeah.
I heard there's a gang demanding money from people who
are in the apartments already paying.
Right. Now, see, they had a meeting in the park where I was at. So I heard some other shit. They said that somebody doing all this stuff know this guy, and they not giving the people, they paying, but the money's not going to the right place. This is somebody in higher office, know somebody that owned the building. And,
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you know, I'm hearing about all this, and well, there's a vigilante gang that's taking over the premises and demanding money from some of the tenants.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it is.
I heard it was like a Venezuelan gang.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And they knocking on doors demanding money from people that staying in there that ain't paying.
Yeah.
You
know. Are you from here? Are you from Aurora?
No, I'm all over. I live in the land.
Yeah.
I live everywhere. But I come and go this while. Hey, you know, about a month or two ago, I didn't know about this.
Yeah.
I walked down this street and I was in the wrong part of town. You know? It was like, I was scared.
Is there a lot of gunplay?
Now that, I don't know. I don't hang around. I can't say this and that.
Yeah.
But they got, you know, well, they got signs on all the buildings, yellow sign.
Yeah.
Saying condemned or what? I ain't go that far to go see. I'm going too far to check on what's going on.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm homeless, but not that homeless to take over one of them apartments.
Yeah.
And then I got to deal with them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I hear about some people that just took an over apartment. They ain't got nowhere to live, you know? I mean, hell.
Yeah.
Just 6 apartments, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of room.
Yeah, there's a lot of rooms.
But I wouldn't feel comfortable staying one night one of them. I beat and got ran over by there's a gang running shit.
Okay, I appreciate you, man. You be safe, all right?
Okay, now, I'm saying what I think I know, room and immunization, but you can't quote me or anything.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's all hearsay.
Man, don't you be walking down there with that fucking camera.
Okay.
Man, you bet. They think you taking pictures? Oh, man.
Bad idea.
That's bad. You better hide that motherfucker.
Yeah, that's probably a bad idea.
I'm trying to tell you. And you white? Man, I'm trying to get this right. I'm trying to, you know what I'm talking about.
Cover them up.
Yeah. It don't look cool. You going down there. Don't stay too long. You better keep on walking.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, but don't take that camera, man. That's gonna cause you a dead problem.
All right, brother. I appreciate you. That's a good.
I don't even like walking down the street.
Okay.
I wouldn't walk down it at night. I walk down at daytime.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It gets crazy around 11 at night.
I don't want to see you get in trouble or get walked up on.
Hey, I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, but I'm saying that camera is like
a target.
Thank you, man. You put a target on yourself.
Hey, you be safe, brother. What's your name?
Come back, change your clothes and everything.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
All right, be safe. All right, guys, y'all just heard him. He said I shouldn't go down the street. So I think I'm gonna not do it. I think I'm gonna take the advice. Not go down the street, but I'm gonna walk down further and maybe talk to some locals. As far as a Venezuelan flag. Alright, so I'm still one street away from those apartment complexes, and I didn't go down the street because I talked to that homeless dude and he was like, nah, you shouldn't go down the street. That camera is a walk-in target and that I get killed. So I didn't go, but I'm gonna go look from this side of the street and see what it's like. I don't know. Down here we saw 2 dudes face tatted all the way up to the head, which, you know, nothing wrong with that, but it generally means, I don't really give a fuck too much. I tat myself up all the way to my face. So I gotta stay smart as well as also investigative, and so we'll see. We saw, you said that really happened, like right here?
Yeah, so there is gunshots. We moved in here in like June, so we hear them, but they usually start like super late, like 1, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
This one was like around 11, so that was weird. We heard it, we're like, that's early.
Yeah.
But as far as we know, that was like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
The cleaning thing, it's a fucking mess over there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not like, there's not like gang banging all over the streets. There's like, you don't see people like you would in like LA. Like I'm from Long Beach, she's from Compton.
Okay.
So it's not like
this
that.
This ain't
yeah. For sure, I would love it if they, fix that whole situation. But
it's not as bad as it's
being
blown up. That's what I figured. I was like, I was in Denver, and then I went to Boulder, and I heard about this shit, and I was like, let me come back. I just want to see.
Yeah. Definitely staying in that little like
corner
area,
right there. I drove down the street, and then I turned, and there was one dude in like a tracksuit, like tatted to the face and stuff. But
it's
I was like,
staying like there.
Yeah, it doesn't spill out.
Yeah.
Like when I moved here, I watched on like Gangland how like 5 Points was like the worst place, and nothing happens.
Yeah.
So I think it's similar to that. It's gonna get blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
But for sure, if they could fix it, that would be tight too.
Oh yeah. Well, I appreciate y'all for talking
man.
to me. Y'all have a good rest of y'all's night.
Thank you.
It's probably not smart for me to bring a camera on that corner, right?
I don't think anything will happen to you.
Okay.
Honestly, I think you're good, man.
Oh, word? Okay. Appreciate it. All right, this is the corner. This is the corner that it's supposed to be on. The other dude said, don't go down here, I'll get shot with the camera, and those dudes said nothing will happen to me. So I went with their advice. Yeah, it doesn't seem that intense. It just really looks like any other old slum. Alright, well, this is the apartment right here. This is where the shooting took place. Stop the gang violence. Taking Aurora back. This is our city. Guns down. So maybe it's not too bad here in Aurora. I've been to both of the spots so far, and yeah, I mean, definitely the hood, but that's everywhere in America, and that's not any fault of anyone. Let's see what this sign says. You're tired? We're all tired. Alright, that was it, guys. Yeah, I came out here to Aurora, see what was happening. It ain't that crazy. Hopefully it doesn't get worse, but I guess we'll see. I'm sure that this is like the highest it'll be populated and talked about, and I'm sure the PD is going to do something about it, considering it's on such a national level of news, you know. And yeah, so we'll see what comes of that. For right now, seems like a regular old hood, regular project, whatever. It ain't that big of a deal. I think Fox News is blowing it up. It's crazy. Fox. Ugh. Yeah, it's both sides. Liberal media, conservative media. They're both twist shit, make shit way worse than it needs to be. I'm in the area, and people don't want to be filmed for obvious reasons. They live near here, so I'm keeping the camera down when I talk to people. But I just talked with another group of people, and they stated, like, yeah, it's definitely bad over there. Guns all the time. They lived here for 4 years, and it's not new. So the camera died as soon as we got to this part of the conversation. But I asked them, I said, so I'm hearing a lot about like Venezuelan gangs as the culprit. Is that just like something that is being pinned on them as a scapegoat by, you know, conservative media, or what? And basically they said it's been going on for 4 years. This isn't a new thing. I think the media is trying to pin it on Venezuelan gang violence, but that's not the MO. That's not the real deal, the real spiel, holy feel. I'm gonna go down the street one more time, and then I'm gonna wrap it up, go back to the van. Seems like this is a ghetto. This is what it is. But he said that they were telling me that it's mostly contained into the apartments. They literally live right down the street, and it's not spreading. So that's good to hear. I think media is just, yeah, trying to pin it on one specific group, but it's really just capitalism, like creating these poor conditions for people, which causes them to break out in violence. And that's seen all over the world. We're just starting to see the beginnings of it here in America over the past, you know, I mean, decades, because of what they did with black groups by sending them into lower income areas and whatnot. But that's a whole nother video. But that seems to be what the case is here. Is like, it's just another case of bad area, gangs, guns, etc. All right, guys, I'm speaking with some locals from the area. And so y'all lived in Aurora y'all's whole life?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And so has it been like this like more recently or pretty much y'all's whole life?
Pretty much the whole life.
Really?
Yeah.
So the news and stuff is kind of like trying to pinpoint it on one time frame, but it's really just kind of how
like
it is.
A year ago, I think somebody died near here.
Damn, for real?
Yeah, and then somebody shot over there, and yeah.
So